Hello, everybody. Welcome to our April webinar, a collaborative presentation of the Federation for Children with Special Needs and the Recruitment Training and Support Center. My name is Janie Kreco, and I am the Training and Support Specialist at the RTSC. Today's webinar is Community Schools, How They Can Make Schools Safe and Supportive, presented by Dr. Claire Crane. Dr. Crane has had a long career with the Lynn, Massachusetts Public Schools the last 25 years as principal of the Robert L. Ford K-8 school. She worked in partnership with community organizations that included Salem State University and North Shore Community College to develop the Ford School into a nationally recognized full-service community school. Ford became a comprehensive center for pre-K through adult learning, social, health, and family services, and a valuable resource and support for the culturally diverse Highlands community it serves. The community school concept lifted Ford from the lowest to one of the most improved schools in the city and provided legions of children and their families with learning experiences that improved their lives and futures in concrete ways. On Dr. Crane's retirement, she has focused efforts to disseminate the model on the establishment of a Center for Community Schools at her alma mater, Salem State University. Dr. Crane's assistant, Omar Longus, is also attending. He works with Dr. Crane at the Center for Community Schools at Salem State. During the webinar, please type your questions in the toolbox, and we will try and answer them during the presentation. Past webinars are archived on the RTSC website, along with many resources on trauma and learning and educational issues that impact students in child welfare. I am thrilled to have you here, Dr. Crane. I'm glad you could make it.
Thank you, Janie. I'm very happy to be here, and I want to thank the Federation for inviting me to share the successes about the community school at the Ford School. I'm excited. It has been a passion for me. Like Janie said, I was principal at the Ford School for 25 years. It was my favorite job. I love doing it, and there's so much that you can do with the community school model. So I'm going to start. This is the contact information. If anybody wants to put it down, if you don't get your questions answered, please feel free to contact me, and I will share and answer all of your questions. The Robert L. Ford School was a K-5 school. We were very fortunate. We became a NASA Explorer School. We had a 3-year grant, and it's a full-service community school. Some of the facts about the community school: we were the first K-8 public school in the city of Lynn. We had that for about 4 or 5 years, and then the budget cuts came in, and we had to go back to the K-5. There are 738 students enrolled. That was in 2008, 2009. 86% minority students, and it has gone up, and it's now 93%. 92% of the students receive free and reduced lunch, and there are 42 different languages spoken. The school that they asked me to, the superintendent called me in after I had had a special project with them, and he asked me if I would be willing to become principal of the Ford School. It was ground zero for drug and alcohol abuse. It was in the upper 5th percentile in the state for child abuse. Large gang presence in the neighborhood, and the large percentage of families living below the poverty level. It was a challenge for me. I decided, the first thing I did, we adopted a mission, and the mission basically a neighborhood village at the center of the school. And the philosophy at the Ford School was long-term commitment to the parents, staff, and students. And what I did was open up a family room right across, parents' room right across from my office. I was trying to get we call them the gate parents, the people who stay outside the gate and never come in. And we wanted to bring them in and help them solve their problems. So we started to create a comprehensive integrated service and we try to communicate. I walked around the neighborhood when I started with the neighbors too. We were open. The parents gave me and the neighbors gave me 3 goals. I said, give me 3 goals, because the parents greeted me on my first day and said, Dr. Crane, you're going to be like the rest of them. You're going to be here, make your mark, and leave us. And I says, no, I'm not. I'm going to stay here for the duration. And the parent who said that to me at the end of my 25 years when I retired said, you kept your word. So basically, the parents wanted 3 things. The 3 goals they selected for me, and I would encourage you to do it, and do like 3 to start off with. Was the first thing they wanted was education, and they wanted to, better than half of them did not have a high school diploma, and English as a second language was an issue for them and wanted classes. The second thing they wanted was daycare for their children. They worked and they needed to have daycare services. The third thing they wanted was a clean and safe neighborhood. There was a lot of, you heard, the drug involvement, and it wasn't a safe neighborhood. So we created the full service community school model, which you see. We were open 6 days a week from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. We served breakfast and lunch, and we even served dinner to the kids who were there with the after school program. We created the after school program. What I did do was go around in the community. We interviewed all the vendors for after school programs, and I let the parents pick who they wanted, and they voted on Leo, because the Leo program was a Head Start program, and they knew that program. So we do the after school. We had a summer aftercare program that you see. And then we had for the adult education, and as you can see, I was addressing those 3 goals. I opened up a night school, and the night school was on Monday and Tuesday nights, and Wednesday night was the neighborhood meeting night. And because I found Thursdays and Fridays was payday, nobody wanted to come on Thursdays and Fridays. So we did Monday and Tuesdays from 7 to 9. What I did do was offer 3 different tracks for them. One was to get your high school diploma, GED. The second was ESL classes. And the third was citizenship. And what we did, the average family size at our school was 4 to 7. So we did homework help. And I ended up with over 300 parents wanting to come to my night school. And we started with volunteers from the community helping, tutoring the kids and helping the kids with the homework. So it became very successful with the parents. We created a strong foundation, and we welcoming atmosphere. As you can see, the parents' room across, it got so large, we had an area for the kids to play. When they brought their kids to school, we had to put it up in the library eventually. And we basically communicated with the parents. I could come the next morning and walk across the hall and find out if there was a police issue, if there was a fire or something. I knew that kept me in touch with the neighborhood. Giving parents a voice. Basically, we listened to them. They formed a coalition within the neighborhood. They did a survey, the parents, and they held their meetings. And their meetings usually were held on the other night when we didn't have the night school. Giving the parents a voice. They respected each other. And they came up with, after we finished our first 3 goals, they came up with another 3 goals. And it kept going. It's like building a building and building bricks, and we could reach all the parents. Also, we had parent advocates. I saw a program in Florida. It was called the RAIN Parents, RAIN, Referral and Information Network. I appointed 3 parents who spoke 3 different languages, and those became our parents, and they were like helping us keep a voice in communicating with the parents. Also, we started to develop a database for the family engagement. I had 2 volunteers from my parents' group, and we had like a governing neighborhood group, and they became so efficient at it. The housing authority had them do the lead paint questioning and canvassing the neighborhood. So they became very well known and very active. It's very important. The process is an ongoing cycle, and the more responsive the school is, the more that the parents trusted the school. We had a very sad issue. We had a fire and we lost 3 students in the fire, but I was so proud the neighborhood coalition got together. But it tells you you're doing the right thing, because the next day after the fire, a parent was waiting for me, and it was a no school day. We had a snowstorm, and the parent was outside the school waiting for me, knew I would be there. The issue was a language translation. She didn't know where they brought the bodies of the children that were killed in the fire. 2 of them were cousins, and then 1 was immediate family. So everybody got together, helped plan the funerals with the churches, and it's, if you look, by sticking together with the help of various community partners, networking, and a never say no attitude, this Ford School was able to support the students and families. It became that parents group, the neighborhood coalition, became a very strong force in our community. Any activity within the neighborhood, I knew immediately they would come in. We had probably one of the best crime walks. The crime in our neighborhood dropped tremendously with the parents becoming involved. The other thing was the police or the fire, if they had any issues, they could come into the night school and talk it over with the parents. I always said you had to go from classroom to classroom, not a big hall full, because you won't get information. But if there were issues, like there were some robberies, they could do a heads up. They also did smoke detectors after the tragic fire, went around to all the classrooms and told them they got free smoke detectors and everything. So you become the community resource for the community too, the police and the fire. The full service community school model, I'm showing you the garden. Remember, I said never say no, just say how we could do it. The parents and the students came to Dr. Crane, can we do a garden? And I said, oh, I don't know if the school committee will let you dig up the hot tub for the schoolyard. So they said, oh, no, let's think it out. So we went to the vocational school. They built the flower beds above, you see right here, the flowers. The kids they loved the neighborhood, loved the garden. The gangs in the neighborhood, it became a safe haven. The gangs protected it. There was no vandalism at all. And the kids said, Dr. Crane, can we go to take all our vegetables in the garden and bring it to the Topsfield Fair? And I said, okay. The cook volunteered, and the kids became part of the Topsfield Fair, and they won 12 to 15 medals in one summer. So that shows you what the idea is. You never say no, just figure out how you do it. Also, our programs at the school are based on the premise that every child needs a supportive and family. With NASA Space, our school got invited. We were the first ones to talk to the space station. We were the first. So we got the governor and everybody came, and our students talked. They were the first children in the United States to talk to the space station. Also, our teachers went down and flew on the CD-9s and took the same training as the space. So networking starts out small but ends up with large commitments. The attendance at the school went from very really high attendance to hardly any. We had one of the highest percentages of attendance in the school department. They'll say, well, what do you do? My background is social work, so I went knocking at on the doors with my school nurse. Anybody that was absent, we did that for the first year. All of a sudden, everybody came to school because we'd be there. I brought the nurse to see if there were health issues with the kids from not coming to school. Also, we started a lot of extracurricular activities because the kids are stuck in three family houses with no place to go, nothing to do. So you see a list of, we had the National Honor Society, we had Saturday school, we did summer school. And to give you an idea of some of these programs, we fed the kids during the summer when we had summer school, but then when it closed, they would be knocking on the door. We having breakfast today. We having lunch today. So I said, gee, I have to feed these kids too. So I called up the Department of Ed. I said, what do I have to do to feed these kids all summer? This is all you need is a program. You're eligible because you're 92, 93%. So I called up these are ideas you could use. I called up the park department. I said, can you put in a program in my school so I can feed the kids? The head of the park department says, sure, we'll put a basketball program in your yard. So I had a basketball program that fed the kids for the summer. So there's lots of things you can do by just reaching out to the community. You see Girl Scouts, we did yearbook, we had, I wanted to address the talents in my school, so we had a talent show, Ford's Got Talent, and we had a big talent show, and the kids all came. It was open to any of the kids that want to perform. Computer club, we applied because we're a NASA school. We got robotics, and it's really just all you have to do is ask, and you can do the research for it. You see on my thing the Ford School Chorus. Basically, I wanted to have some extra music outside of the regular music thing, something that reflected the cultures of my school. So I went down to the local church around the corner. They had a choir, a master that was fantastic. I invited her up to start a chorus. The chorus became famous. They sang at the inauguration. They sang at the tea station dedication. You can do a lot of different things with that music program too, but reaching out to the different resources in your community. There's some more that, because we had an astrophysics club, newspaper club. What the kids came to me and said, these are ideas too. Dr. Crane, can we take the private school test, the PSTs? I said, sure. I had a partnership with Marblehead High School. So they came over, they tutored. What better kids? The Marblehead kids take the private school test. So I said, will you help our kids tutor them so they can take the test? They took the test. I got 3 into Pingree, 2 into Governor, 1 into St. John's Prep. Those kids, next year I got 3 more into Pingree. And I have to tell you, one of the students that went to Pingree and got a scholarship, just graduated, is working on his master's. He basically, they gave him a job at Pingree. He's the diversity coordinator. So just opening doors for the students, they just little things like that. And you would be surprised what transpires. We had the NASA Academy. Also, the kids in my school, a lot of kids don't get to go to Boston. They don't even know where Boston is, some of them. They haven't crossed the bridge. So I take them to New York. We alternated every other year. I go to a tour company in Salem, and she takes them every year, alternating New York, Washington. The kids need to see the world. And like an example, one of the girls came, we had buffets at all the hotels we stayed at, and the kids were going up. They had never been to a buffet, so they were filling their plates up. And I said, wait a minute, you can go back for seconds. We can go back for seconds? Yes, you can go back for seconds. Also, they basically just never, we got on it, and they laid the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Everything became real to them by doing these special field trips. We went to the Amish country, we went to Montreal, just broadening the horizon. Another idea for you too is we partnered with Salem State. Fortunately, one of my classmates became president, so I went to her when I became principal and I said, I need all the help I can get. Can you help me? So she made me a lab school for the university. So I got nurses, student teachers, social workers, a lot of supportive help. We start, you'll see the FAST program. We made up names for a lot of our programs, FASST, Ford and Salem State together. I wanted my kids to know that they could go to a college near them. And so we had a program, a 6-week program, and all the kids in my school that wanted to go got to go to the FAST program. It was an after school, right at the end of school. They got on buses. They went over, they had 2 weeks of computers, 2 weeks of phys ed, and 2 weeks of arts and craft. But what did it do? It opened the doors and let them know there were colleges out there they could go. North Shore Community College, we had a program down for the kids, and they helped us with the adult education. When the parents finished their GED, they went down to North Shore to continue on in the college. And then College Rocks, students who were interested going to college, we had a special club after school. And then you see Gordon College. How did you do all this? I partnered with the universities in the college, North Shore, Gordon College, and Salem State. And they provided the services for the programs that I did. We did the Harvard and MIT, the Astrophysics Club, and these are all programs that were offered. CFES, we applied and got college for every student, so they came in. All the kids wanted to go to college with their program that lasted about a whole 2 or 3 months. My partners were too. I reached out to the community, Cohen Hillel Academy. They started the CHAMPS program, and it's Cohen Hillel Academy. They tutored the kids for MCAS, so we had all the 3rd graders bused over there, and they had mentors, and it builds relationships with the kids. They also came to my school and did Friday reading buddies. We had a clothing drive, athletic equipment. I got more athletic equipment donated because the gloves and everything is very expensive. And then we had the used book drives. The Governor's Academy, we got some kids in there, and basically they came and did community service. So I keep, telling you about the different opportunities you can give for your school. The grants, we got the NASA grant. We got a grant to go to the Krista McCullough Center. You see the Principals Institute. The DLN, the Digital Learning Network through NASA. Our kids could talk to Texas, could see a science lesson from any of the space programs at all the different space stations that were available. This is a picture of one of my teachers. To show you, he got on the CD-9, the microgravity airplane, and my teachers went up in space, and I was on the flight crew. I stayed on the ground. But basically, he also had, because you never say no, he also had a prosthesis, one leg, so he was so worried because he had to pass a physical. But fortunately, my father had a prosthesis, so we got him, and he was thrilled. He was first special ed teacher with a prosthesis into space. So examples, you never say no, you just say, how can we do it? And then we had the NASA grant, we had the governor, we had Teddy Kennedy, John Kerry, Krista McCullough's mother came, and Barbara Morgan came. So many, many exciting times, and it's your creation with partnerships. Remember, I said to them, a clean and safe neighborhood. I want to mention to you, this is a good resource for you. The Housing Authority, we partnered with them. There's some money, so they every year they would donate coats to the students, but also they tore down, we kind of tracked the crime in our neighborhood. There was a group of houses that were chronic drug houses. They came in, they knocked them down, and they built these beautiful townhouses overlooking the beach and the water and everything, and they were for low income parents displaced. That crime rate dropped drastically up there. They also had workshops for the parents on how to buy a house. The Neighborhood Coalition, they set goals. My word is like three goals. We do them and then we do 3 more. But the coalition set a goal. They said, we don't have any trees up in the neighborhood. So they wrote a grant, and they got a grant for 60 trees. So they planted 60 trees in the neighborhood. They're the ones who ran the garden. Also, any lead paint poisoning, any issues in the neighborhood. And then I've got the crime watch meetings with the police. It was a busy place. Our community school will be a very, very busy place. We got the Junior Achievement group to come in, how to start a business. And then it got so large that they went over to the high school and they trained the high school kids, and a lot of our kids who were in high school, they got dressed up for the day and they became junior achievement coordinators with their training, and they loved it. A lot of them decided they would like to teach. So that's another new opportunity. The other one is Metropolitan Opera Guild. We applied for their grant. We got the pianos, and we had the vocational people. We got 25 pianos, and we partnered with the conservatory. The kids composed their own music. So we were a very musical school. Then ECHO came in, and they had some more grants. That's your local Essex County Community Organization, and they helped us expand our community program, and we had tutors coming in to volunteer. Leo is the one who got the thing. So there's a lot of agencies that I've mentioned. Also, being a first grade teacher for 8 years, I discovered at my school, I had some goals too, that a lot of kids lose their glasses, and so their insurance only covers one pair of glasses. So we partnered with Leeds Crafts, and they gave free eyeglasses for any child who needed them. And so basically we got them, it's a vision coalition of retired eye doctors. They checked all the kids, they volunteered. Then they said, Dr. Crane, how many buses do you need? I said, I need 2. So they opened one store in Saugus, one in Peabody, and every year the kids get eyeglasses. That's an example of partnering and getting free eyeglasses. So becoming a community school, we got the GED so many parents got their GED. We just had a kickoff event at Salem State. I had a panel of parents, successful parents. We had some became teachers. Kenny became the director of diversity. So many have gone on to college, a large number. A lot of them are citizens, got their citizenship. That was through the night care and the homework. A lot of kids, the grades went up. Here's a good one that we were proud of. My first time, my background is social work, my friend ran the Brothers Table, which is a soup kitchen down the street. We arranged to have a luncheon for all my teachers to go down and have lunch, so they know what the kids in my neighborhood were faced with and how many kids had to go down and get the free lunch and supper. So they were hesitant. Oh no, I'm not going down there. Someone's going to steal my car. Well, we went down there, and by the partnership that we developed, a lot of them volunteered and brought their children. And Brothers Table gave turkeys to our school. We had 100, whatever we needed for turkey, 100, 150. So we called it the Ford School Raffle, and we gave turkeys out to any families. We kind of stacked the deck a little bit, because like people don't want like, oh, I don't need one, you won the raffle. One parent says, 3 years in a row I won the raffle. I says, you've got 5 kids, so you're good. So we did like a lot of donations. Anything that they got, they were always calling us, do you need any? You'll see the turkeys right there. And my school nurse, and I had a lot of volunteers. That's one of my teachers with the truck. We went down with the truck and picked up all the turkeys. And my teachers volunteered. They wanted their kids to come with them and deliver the turkeys. So the junior achievement, it just spread all over, like I said, with the high schools. And the Metropolitan Opera. The General Electric is close to us. They help us write the grant to go down for the CD9. We had to do a special thing, and they did helped us with an experiment, as you can see. The Essex National Heritage. We found out in Lynn that a lot of kids, because it was the neighborhoods had such a reputation, it was dangerous. We wrote a grant with the Essex National Heritage to have free buses for every school. Salem State trained my kids in how to be tour guides, so to take pride in the High Rock Tower. So the kids became the tour guides. In every school, they took turns, and every school came up to see the view, which is the $1 million view of Lynn Harbor. So, and lots of the kids said, I couldn't come here because it was a dangerous place. Well, it was just opening the doors and showing people, and the kids were so proud to show. When I first went up there, there was graffiti covered with everything. Graffiti was all gone. So it just shows you the different things that you can do, the different steps you can take for your school. The High Rock Tower, you see no graffiti there. It's expanding, and it's still expanding. The neighborhood has taken that over. And this is a picture of the coalition. They're very active in our community. They did the march for education. They do all kinds of marches. This was the March Against Violence. This is the coalition meeting. I opened the school. Like I said, Wednesday night was neighborhood night. This is David Gass with the community garden. These are the different people, and they've even expanded down. I'll show you that's before, after. And it just, the kids became specialists in food and like what is nutrition, because the BMIs, and there was so many diabetes and different, they were telling their parents what they could cook and everything, and you see, and they had a little market. And you see all the vegetables, and very proud of that garden. Then we had classes. We wrote a grant with the University of Massachusetts, Jeannie Banachek, on nutrition. So the kids would come out and they would get a lesson on what was good to eat, what wasn't good to eat. Another one that we were proud of is basically, I'm friendly with Gliss down on Silsby Street in Lynn. They needed to get out, and so they came up, and once a week our cook would make salads from the garden, and they were saying, could we bring up some of the seniors to have the garden and the salad, and they were taking home little vegetables with them, and they loved it. And basically the kids were so proud, because down at Gliss they had so many languages. The last counter was 42 different languages, so we could cover, so we'd match the kids with the people who non-English speaking, and they would take them by the hand and walk around. They had such a good time, and you'll see the kids preparing the food. They had such a good time. The seniors didn't want it to end at the end of the summer, so what we did was, I said, remember, you never say no. Well, we want to continue it during school, so I said, okay, you can come and eat lunch with the kids. So they would come lunchtime, and we call it lunch bunch. So I would announce on the loudspeaker, all the kids in lunch bunch can come down to the cafeteria. They loved it. They loved it. You'd see the Gliss buses coming up with two busloads of the seniors. This is a wall we made. We won a grant so that kind of beautify the school. We went at night with the lights, and the kids painted it in, and we had so many people from the community come and help us paint it. So to kind of summarize, basically, what happened, many students attend the private schools now. More than 60% of our students go to college. The kids don't drop out of school. The students have better home supports. Students' attendance improved. The nurturing, I mean, we did a celebration when somebody at night school passed the citizen test. We had a party. We liked the party, so we always just celebrations. So they became friends, and the benefits of the community school is like a positive attitude. When I did the K-8, the parents came to me. Remember, we said, never say no. Dr. Crane was so afraid our kids are going to go to the middle school, and they're so large, because they were running 1,000, 1,200 kids. Can we stay and have a K-8? So we did the K-8, and the kids did not drop out. I don't think anybody, because they stayed there till the 8th grade, and all went on to high school. There were no dropouts with that K-8 school. So authentic outcomes. Basically, Ford School, we were known as the engine of change in the community. There was, oh God, here comes Dr. Crane, what is she up to now? So we became the engine of change, as you see all those different things. consistency, comprehensiveness, long-term commitment. School factors have a very important impact on parent involvement. And the kids improved on the MCAS to a failure to most improved. Networking is a key success. Challenges, the big challenge was worried is like keeping the vision and the programs fresh. I'm learning, like I have retired from my position, but I had been invited by the president of the college to come over to Salem State University and start. She asked me the first year, and I said, no, I love my job. I don't want to go yet. But then the second year, I feel like she would stop asking me. It's very important to train the teachers and the principals about the future. So that's why I am over at the community school. We're going to be doing professional development. Alma knows we're working with some school systems. Revere has become our model community school district. My vice principal, when they closed the K through 8, went over, became principal of a school over there. She has like the model community school, the high school. So it just keeps a full service community school. It just keeps going on and on and on.
But I have a question for you, Dr. Crane. How many hours did you put in per week?
That's a good question.
Because it sounded like, of course, you were the instigator of much of this,
Yeah.
and the attitude comes from the top down. And
at first, a lot. From like I come at 7 in the morning because most parents have to be to work at 7. So we had a before school program. Got that up and running. Once you get things up and running, I was still teaching over at Salem State and still teaching, and I didn't have to be at the night school because the night school after, you'll find a lot of the programs will run themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
And you have volunteers. So
yeah.
Eventually,
yeah,
it lessened.
And
that's a good question.
Yes, and I think that the parents were right to assume that the big ideas come and then they leave with the person that has the big ideas, and you had the fortitude to stay for 25 years. Do you think that's what we can expect from teachers these days? No, I'm not feeling it.
No, good point. No, but good point. And I didn't because the teachers with me, I had the largest number of teachers who stayed with me.
Retention.
And nobody left because you have to put your mission out there.
Yes.
This is what we're all about. They love the school. The teachers became the Ford School family too. Mm-hmm. Most of the teachers, they could bring their children to night school and have homework help. So they were doing the homework help. We had a couple of instances. We really became family. The teachers were all committed, so they did not leave. Mm-hmm. I have to say they stayed with me most of them stayed for the whole, depending on what time they started teaching. But we're all family. Since I've been retired, we still meet and we go out to eat. We call it the Ford family. I depend on the Ford family to do certain things and help me with the community school. But the key was to bring them down, be part of the family. One teacher, her son passed away of cancer. The teachers, we were family. The teachers all got together and divided up her kids so she was able to, handle coming back to school because she had run out of sick days. These are things that the teachers did themselves. Yeah. And the teachers would create. I never had a problem. I always had a waiting list for night school. I had a waiting list for different things that we did. But the key is their family was part of it. Yeah. So their kids came. When we did the school trips, can I bring my kids? Yes. Can I bring my kids? Yes. So they became very committed to a lot of these programs. Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah. Just another question I have personally, because we do, our program does a lot of trainings on trauma and learning, and one of the reasons why we do that is in the hope that a better understanding of the challenging behaviors will lead to fewer disciplinary actions. How did discipline change when you became a community school?
It changed because we always, when I first went to the school, we had to come up with a discipline plan because it was out of control. Yes. I remember was it the second day, they were throwing books out of the windows, the second windows. And then there was a young man that went in the door with his bicycle and did wheelies all the way down the hall. Like, those are examples of out of control. They had the coats were being, the parents would bring the kids into school and go down the hallway and help themselves to coats.
Oh, okay.
No, just out of, so we came up, I had the teachers and the parents, because you community, and the parents came up. They loved it. They wanted detention after school, but detention was a different kind of detention. They got to, we knew what they needed to do in school for work, so a lot of the teachers would give the work to the detention person, so it was an extension of their classes, which they loved, and the parents liked the extra time. They thought that was a very good idea.
Yeah.
So then it became less and less. 3 kids, 2 kids, so the discipline, the referrals for behavior, because anything that we did was dependent on behavior too. If you're a good citizen, you could go, like the field trips, all the kids in the 5th and 6th grade. If you had, after 3 strikes and you're out, we used to call it, okay, 3 times 3 suspensions. So if you make your discipline code very clear, it disappeared. It made, and the teachers loved it.
I loved that you asked the families how they wanted to handle it. That whole family engagement piece, which is...
Well, the key was to start with the room across from the hall. The teachers at first went, what are you, bringing them in? And we call them the gate parents. They stay outside and they solve all your problems.
The gate parents, yes, I like that.
So they solved all your problems, but we said, let's have them come in. They can solve my problem.
Okay.
And we brought all those, and they call themselves, it got so big I had to move it.
So this was a room where parents could always come and feel welcome and have coffee. Okay.
Have coffee, talk, and like, especially the first day of kindergartens, go hug the parent. Now they're going to be all right, because the parent would go off crying.
Yes, of course.
Kids would be crying.
Yes.
So they're going to be all right. And so I had like a team from the coffee room that they stayed.
And this room for the parents, was it open from 7 to whatever it was?
Once school started, a lot of them had to go off to their work.
To their own work,
Take the kids and do errands and stuff like that.
But they were welcome to come anytime.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that idea. It's
a great idea. It worked.
Yeah.
It really, because you can really reach them. For me, I knew if there was something happening in the neighborhood, the police with so-and-so, DCF is involved. I knew exactly what was going on, so it was an excellent communication thing.
So many of these things came out of your brilliant mind.
Social, I have to say, social work background. I was a social worker for 18 years.
Yes, and you need to share this more.
That's why I wanted to share it.
Yes, and just so everyone knows, Dr. Crane will be our keynote speaker at our Special Education Surrogate Parent Conference on November 14th, coming up in 2017, where we're going to explore a whole lot of partnerships for schools and partnerships with families, and I hope everybody can make it to this so that they can learn how to.
Just one thing, like budget is such an issue for everybody, and all these different programs, as you know, when you go over each one, I hope you've got copies or ideas. There was only one really budget, was my night school, because I paid the teachers to do night school, and under Title I, I dial the phone again, and under Title I, your school system has to pay 1%, 2% of your total budget to parent involvement. So I went down and I got my money for parent involvement, and that's how I paid. But the rest of everything, community, Hillel Academy, everything else did not cost anything. The trips, we set up a thing where the parents could go to their work and sell chances. Most of the kids went free, unless grandma, grandpa donated or something. But we call it the no budget, low budget. So there's ways to do it.
Yeah. I think it's amazing, and what a great model. And of course,
it's a good model.
Yeah, at your center now, you're spreading the word all over the country, right?
We're going to do staff professional development courses, and we're going to work on a certification program for community school teachers and community school graduate
program. Yes, okay. So, Omar, do you want to add anything over there?
I guess I'll just fill in some of the gaps of from the Ford School to now being at Salem State, and
Yes.
share a little bit of my connection and relationship with Dr. Crane, and then also one of the things that I've begun working on based on my relationship with her, which fits into this full service community school model. But what is it, the no budget,
No budget, low budget.
no budget, low budget? So that idea of through partnership and collaboration, it's not an issue of, oh, how do we find money to do something, but with the resources we currently have, how do we identify and how do we execute on solving the needs in our community? So first I'll say that although I work at Salem State, my relationship with Dr. Crane was mainly because I have an interest in adult education. I learned that she was in charge of this center, which was located at Salem State, and I have a goal in my community of Salem, Massachusetts, to really look at how we're offering services for adults in adult education and redefine those. So through working with her, I've been able to gain a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom, so that hopefully we'll be able to execute on that in the near future. But one of the things that Dr. Crane, she had mentioned that in Marblehead, there's a group of students who she had a relationship with, had provided tutoring to some of her students at the Ford School. And one of those students was offering tutoring to a group of girls in Lynn. And they were doing this on Sundays at the Marblehead Library. That because Dr. Crane came to Salem State, she said, how can we make this institutionalized? How we can make this a part of Salem State? And she connected me with that student. And although it took us, I would say, about a year to get everything solidified, we found a school in Salem that we were able to partner with. We gathered through her network at Marblehead High about 23 students who are interested in, and they're part of the National Honor Society, and offering tutoring, and we've started to offer that on Sundays at the Salem State Library. And throughout the process, I had a lot of people who were asking questions, and they seemed slightly pessimistic. So I would go and I would present and I would say, hey, here's what we want to do. We have a group of students who are very talented, who are going on to college, and they want to provide tutoring for free. I know that we have students at your school who could either benefit from tutoring to meet academic achievement that you're looking for, or who are already excelling in the class and could use extra stimulus. How can we connect the students that you have with the tutors that we have to make sure that both people are getting something out of it? And so from teachers, you get questions of, oh, well, how do we make sure that they're offering the right type of training, the right type of tutoring that matches what we're doing? So with that, what I said was, I can't guarantee that off the bat, but I can work with the tutors, and our plan right now is, because the Marblehead seniors finish early, that they're going to come to DeSalle Install School, meet with one of the teachers to learn what's new with math instruction. How is it different at the elementary level, so they can be trained, then they can train the next generation of tutors, so we can have best practices. With Dr. Crane's name and her effort, we were able to work with Salem State to make sure we had use of the library. Because believe it or not, even as employees at that institution, it can be difficult to reserve space. So when we are able to explain what we are doing, that the space became available, and now we're going into, actually no, because it's Easter, we'll be off, but after Easter we'll be heading into our 6th week, and that this year we're piloting that we have 7 students that we're tutoring, but constant contact with the parents, constant contact with the teachers, and I'm always on site to kind of be the adult and the supervisor, and it's really been a great experience just to see the process in action, because it's really a win-win. That is, we have these tutors who are connecting with a different community. Sometimes high school students, even if they're in leadership roles, they're not given leadership responsibilities. So being in charge of educating a younger student mentoring a younger student, being a role model and explaining what are the steps, not only to succeed at school, but to think about what's happening next and going on to college and the college of your choice is a great opportunity for them. For the students who are receiving tutoring, it's additional homework help, but it's also learning what are the habits I need to develop to become a better student, what are the habits I can develop as a person that are going to make sure that I can contribute. So that's something that even though people were skeptical, that it was literally because there was a student who knew Dr. Crane and Dr. Crane who knew me, and I knew some schools in Salem who I could reach out to and be the face and say, listen, I'm willing to put my reputation, I'm willing to put my stake that this is something that's going to work, that we're able to turn initial skepticism into something that really looks like it could be a model going forward for how can we provide additional homework help, additional academic support for students at no cost to anyone.
Omar, it was a great case study from the beginning to the end. And what struck me is you have to have a lot of patience to do this and be the total opposite of pessimistic. You have to be totally optimistic and keep at it. You know, I hope that as this model moves forward, that we can convince people that it's worth the effort. When I do professional development now, I do sort of tend to hear kind of a less than optimistic look at what's coming up, you know, in our educational future. And to me, it sounds wonderful to hear people that are so passionately optimistic that this could work. This is going to change things. It's not the best time to be in education these days.
I'll just give you hope. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We have I'll give our visitors from Bridgeport, Connecticut. I went down to Bridgeport and did a presentation down. I was on a panel, and basically they're so excited they want to do the community school model in Bridgeport, and they have a foundation that is financing them, and they're sending up a busload of teachers and community people to observe and come up and talk to the university and talk to Revere Public Schools. There's 40 of them in about 2 weeks coming up. Also, we're going to Baltimore, Maryland, and visit there because they have the community school. So it's spreading. I'm excited because it's starting to move out, what you're saying. So
yeah, and I think that the community partnerships are obviously key. You know, to look for those grants and those foundation money is the way to go. But you do have to go. You have to really make a commitment to doing this, and hopefully, you can spark that in people listening to you, to the both of you. So I think that this has been a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. There's not been a lot of questions. So one last call for questions. If you have anything that you need to know from Dr. Crane about your own school district or how to start this or how to get involved in the community school movement, and as I say, Dr. Crane and possibly Omar, I don't know if you'll be available just to join us in November, but we'd love to have you. And we can continue this discussion then. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much for attending, everyone. Yes?
Actually, usually don't jump in, but there is a question here that I think would be great to answer.
Am I not seeing the questions possibly?
I don't know. I have, how many extra hours were the teachers putting in, and were there any problems from the union?
That's a good question. They were all on the activities, as you could see. I went through, and they were all volunteer. The formal one was the night school, and they were, you know, paid according to union rules and everything. But there was no problem with the union whatsoever. These were teachers committed to the mission, and the mission was community schools. So the only issue would be like the formal teaching, the night school, and we funded that according to the regulations.
If there are more questions, I cannot see the questions. I apologize. I'm on a different computer. So if you have any, Renee.
Yes, and can you just repeat it? Someone said they didn't hear me.
Oh, okay. Yes, I will repeat. Actually, yeah. Okay. So the question was whether or not the union was behind the whole the community school movement, and you said that unequivocally they were behind it, right?
Well, we follow the rules.
You need, as long as you follow the rules.
We follow the rules.
Yes.
But also, and that was the formal with teaching and in teaching, but the rest of the activities were volunteer on
Yes.
their own
Okay.
basis. And usually it involved their whole family, which is, I think,
The
you
key.
have to do the whole family.
Yeah.
That's a key.
Huge.
Yeah.
I can remember when I saw you at Clark University that you had said you originally, when you first starting out in this movement, was that you were going to places like the soup kitchens and the food pantries to get to the parents. And
Right.
I thought that impressed me so much that you were willing to do that.
Oh, yeah. It was the social work background.
The social work
My
background.
contacts.
Yeah.
Another question is, how sustainable, successful has the program been without you?
Okay, so the question is, if you can't hear Renee, which you probably can't, is that how sustainable is the program without your being at the head? And that would be my question too.
That's
Yeah.
a good question.
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that because I'm in the process of writing a book on sustainability
Mhm.
because everywhere I go, that question comes up. How can we sustain it? Because you almost feel guilty leaving. And I have to tell you, the programs, most of the programs are gone. You know, they were eliminated, and the new principal, you know, wants to put their footprint on it, and you run the risk of that. But I'll give you a quick example. The neighborhood coalition, because the garden was plowed under. There's only a very small. The neighborhood group took it down to the neighborhood playground, and they have it open. The it's your neighborhood group. They went to the other school and got meetings. So.
Oh, okay.
And I'll actually quickly chime in on that as well, just to say, first I'll do a quick plug for the National Coalition on Community Schools.
Yes.
That they have a lot of great resources. I know, I believe in the last fall there was a webinar that was on how to start a community school, but that's also part of the mission of the Center for Community Schools at Salem State, to try and figure out, because the National Coalition has a lot of great resources, but they don't offer technical support. So to really work with different schools and with different districts, if there are people who are committed to making that community school model part of the school's identity, then how can we be a part of making sure that these types of programs are sustainable?
And that's part of the plan at the schools center.
My next question is, what should be the first thing to do? What's the first step?
First, into community school, invite the parents in, do that parents' room. I know, I think Salt and Stall started to do them, Perla did. Get the parents in. You need the parents who are outside the gate, who are intimidated or for whatever reason. Bring them in and communicate and set goals. I can't say enough about get 3 goals.